Well, hello everyone. I'm Tex Homer, joined by former players Jet Bush and Drew Kelson, and then we're here to talk a little bit about culture. The big word that I've never heard a program not talk about it, but I still see a lot of losses from teams, and so we will see what culture actually means, nitty gritty to the player, not just the magic abstract word. First, head over to Inside Texas. There's a flash sale right now. You can join for $1, and then right after that, 50% off your first year. Link down in the description. Drew, will you lead us here? Sark pointed out a difference between this season and last season. What was that?
I think last season, the portal window was still open after spring, and so I think until Sark knew he was going to have his final roster that he'd be taken into the fall, he didn't start his culture building process. And I think he realized, or at least he said multiple times, that he realized he started that process too late in the game. In this case, and this year, I know immediately after the end of last season, he didn't wait until after spring. He didn't wait until spring started. They got immediately to work integrating new transfers, any new freshmen that were on campus into the culture by taking some time to establish standards. And so you ask, what does that matter? Why does that matter? What's the difference between starting it in June versus January? It's you set the standards earlier. You build in accountability earlier. You build in connectedness a little bit earlier. And the more time guys have to build that trust and connectedness, the better. And, we'll get a chance to see this year what that looks like since we started in January.
Jet, and I think with him, he did start early, and then I think he fell off of it. And then I think he's getting back to it because now he's back to doing the teams and stuff like that. I know y'all did that. The shirt colors denoting if you're doing what you're supposed to, all of that I think has been implemented again. I think he did that with y'all as well in the beginning. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like, so he's doing the shirt color thing is basically everybody just starts at 0 and there's like teams pretty much, which is fun. And we have a draft. And
but that's got to say a lot, right? Like
it says a lot. Like it's obviously like, these are just the players' shoes, and so the coaches are watching who gets picked first and stuff like that. So that's always entertaining. Also, the players are watching too, so that's entertaining.
Yeah.
So that happens, and that's what. But everybody starts even with a white shirt, so like 0 points. You know what I mean? And then, the top shirt is if you show up and do other things right and extra, and pretty sure not even extra. I'm pretty sure you just show up, and then
yeah.
And, obviously not BS. I think there's an effort grade to it as well. But that's kind of how that works. And then but the whole thing in terms of like starting that earlier, I think is huge. Like, obviously, I think it's more ideal the more time you have to cultivate more culture, I guess. It's going to happen organically one way or another. So you might as well kind of help form it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good or culture will happen. It just you decide if it's going to be good or bad culture.
Yeah. It's really it's not what's written on the walls. It's whispered in the halls is something we would always say. That's your culture. That's everybody can put like though you want to compare. That's pretty much sums up the difference between Herman and Sark, I guess you could say, is everybody's got stuff written on the walls and can say, this is this, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4, however, very cute. But like, it's really just about what's said amongst the players and how we attack things with our mindset, really, and how much you really believe in yourself. So that's kind of what the whispers in the halls is. And then it's also the standard is not what is it? The standard's not like the highest, it's like what's tolerated. So it's actually the lowest, because you should measure from there. And that's really like the true measurement of where you're at, because you have to have everybody on board to be, that culture that is a championship culture.
Yeah, and self-policing. So Drew, you had a unique look from your time. Of course, from every conversation we've had, you guys were incredibly kind of player-led. You're always talking about the mindset of the players and not being nervous at all and all that. But what did Mac do specifically as the head coach to create that environment where the players could shine? What was unique to Mac?
I think first is just recruiting leaders. I think we just had good leadership in the locker room. I do think another major difference for us is whether you were from Houston, Dallas, East Texas, West Texas, you knew each other. At least you knew of each other. And so, it didn't matter who you are. If you're from Houston and you got on campus, you knew who Derek Johnson was. You knew who VY were. Like, you knew who there were established names, brands, stars on the team, but they also had earned it. And so there was a bit of a respect that came when you came into the room. There was already established leaders. You didn't have transfers coming in that were also upperclassmen trying to find their spot into a culture in that way that you'd probably find today. So I think there were just a natural sense of trust and respect amongst everyone on campus, those who were both performing leaders or those who were just strong players that kind of anchored the baseline of the team and of the culture. But then it was like it had to be practical. It's one thing to show up and work hard. It's one thing to be hyped up during the game, during the season, but it's also all the off-season stuff, So we'd always say it's not so much of having the culture of, hey, if somebody says, hey, Drew, you're out of line. Hey, Jet, you're out of line. A good culture is when that guy can say, you know what, you're right, I'm tripping. Like, I need to fall back. I need to calm down. I need to wind it down, or I am doing too much, or I am spending too much time doing the wrong things. That's the healthy thing, because you can always find a culture of talkers, of guys who are going to, say things. But you're connected when you can get some guys who tend to walk the edges or the margins a bit more. You get them to reel it in when you really need it. And when the guys speak, they actually respond to it. So I honestly can say we had a lot of that, because we had a lot of line steppers. But we also had a lot of respect and trust amongst each other to pull each other back in.
Was it, how much of it, like you said, the verbal policing, hey, I need to talk to you, versus when that freshman comes in, they just see how you guys operate and work, and then they slowly pick it up?
I mean, honestly, man, you realize this train is going to move with or without you. Like, I think that's the main thing. And I don't know if that really exists today in the same way, but you can show up to a workout and the guy who's, third on the depth chart, he can be beating you in the workouts. The guy who's the walk-on could be beating you like, if you weren't playing to a standard, if you weren't giving effort to a certain standard, it was going to move with or without you. And that's just the way it always felt. And so I think in the combination of you bringing in guys who are already winners, leaders from at that time, the top high schools or just top programs throughout the state of Texas, it really came down to, you can either contribute or this train is moving, but you want to be a part of this story. And nobody wanted to get left behind. Everyone wanted to make sure that they contributed to what, when you looked around the locker room and looked around what we had the potential to do, we all wanted to make our mark on it. So it was going to move with or without you. It's just a matter if you were going to be along for the ride, and you were only hurting yourself if you weren't on board with what everybody else was on.
Jet, so we can get a little more granular at the transition from Herman to Sark. Day one, that kind of stuff. What were the differences? What were you guys? You kind of mentioned that a lot of the culture was, those corny poster type stuff on the hang in there type stuff on the wall, which is false culture. But what were the true differences when Sark came in?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm sure other generations before felt like this, but the people that stuck around and really changed the culture in that transition phase truly believed in the program and believed that we could turn it around, believed we had the right people. And even though we were 5-7, we just knew that we were headed in the right direction. So with Herm, I don't know, we really just changed it. I don't know what to say.
But is it mental though? Because it's look, Tom Herman.
Yeah, it's like this.
You guys are working out in both programs. You guys are running in both programs. So there's something in the air there that's.
I think the leaders, the talent for sure, the leadership, And just like, I think it comes down to the quality of that, honestly. And obviously, I said talent. So quality of talent, quality of leadership, and then everything essentially falls in line. And like, we just had this core belief that we were going to get it done. And nobody ever really didn't believe that. And some people missed out that like really believed in it. Like, for example, I hate to bring this up, but shout out at Peter. I was at his camp right the other day. And he had a great camp for youth. And I was like, what up? I'm Jet Bush or whatever, 19 through 23, like won a Big 12 championship. And Cadence Turns is like right behind me. And he just goes, damn. And so it's like, he's a great example of like somebody who believed, had great talent, but for some reason, didn't have the coach maybe or the right, amount of talent around him in terms of
Caden's one of the sad ones because he was so good, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he had great, and he did really good there for a little in the NFL, but I know he's back. And so like it really, like, I'm not trying to say this is on me by any means. I'm just talking about in general, leadership and the quality of like Bijan or Quinn, and just having somebody we can rally behind. And we give a lot of credit to Herman, maybe, but I think we can all kind of look back and be like, definitely Sam should probably get like a little bit more, because we would always talk about who's the best leader. And
it's gotta, dude. Sam, like recent memory,
like to this day that I've ever been around, and somebody that I just want to I'd freaking run through a wall for that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like he's another one who missed out, but like we just had the right blend of everything really at the right time, but it was all cultivated around like this self-belief essentially that we never like let go, and that's just what I believe.
How much of it is schematic too? Like
clearly the coaches are going to come down to it, but we had talent, you know what I mean? Yeah. But just people didn't care and like enough, and like we just schematics, yes, but
and what is didn't care
like we weren't we weren't bad, like you know what I mean? Like Sam made some great stuff, they ran some good things, but it wasn't to the level of Sark. That I would just add that in terms of schematics. I would just add that to the talent pool in this calculation, because Sark is a greater talent. So that's what I mean, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And it's just like, so obviously that standard got raised, and then actually implementing this standard and then it being cultivated and forged through adversity, and then having the right people steer the ship through that. That's what got,
How was it during 5 and 7 during that period?
That was just that was a real long look in the mirror is what it was. That's the best way to summarize that. And it's all been up from there, baby. So
we're good. But I was saying y'all still had that confidence of like, okay.
Oh no, that was not there yet. That was it was his coach Sark's first year. A lot of guys came from the portal, kind of bastardized team.
Yeah.
Really. So it was also, I think, like the first year where it was really crazy in the portal and people were leaving because they could play immediately.
Yeah.
So people forget how often that was also new when I was another transition. Like people would just play immediately. My first 2 years, people had to sit out for a whole season before they could play. So that was new coach, new players that could play immediately, new everything, DC staff. The standard has to be set through the strength conditioning. We're butting heads, everything, whole nine. It's been, so you could have definitely told from probably our off season that's how I was going to go looking back, to be honest.
Yeah. If you look back, I think about this too. I think about the few players you all pulled in the first year out of the portal, and not all were expected to be stars, but they were kind of troubled players in some ways in other programs. that just kind of came in and never fully got right.
That's the one way to put it in, I guess.
Which it
we
doesn't
went
seem
with that
like
Alabama reject plan there for a little while. And
yeah, we really were. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like that's what we kind of were for real.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's not even a factor now.
Yeah, exactly. Now now we're up there. But shout out to all those guys and how well and hard we work together. And a lot of talent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of that all over the field, but everybody also just worked really hard, and we hung out outside of football. And
I was going to say,
I think that if you a championship team, like, the only way to do it is if your guys hang out outside the locker room.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
There's no way you're winning a championship unless whatever the hell you're doing it together.
I have one memory. It's still sports, but it was freshman baseball, and our whole team, we were all like legit best friends from like elementary school. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the season, I think we went like 21-3, and they were like, "You guys won district." And we were like, "Oh, awesome!" We never even thought about district. We never even thought about shit. We were just all great friends. And I was like, "Okay, that's like the best team I've been on was a freshman baseball team." But I didn't even feel like you were playing the sport, and all the success came from it because there was just that natural connectivity.
No, for sure.
And how do you keep the siloing happening, right? Because it's like DTs will hang out with DTs, and our offense and defense.
No, for sure. Big people definitely hang out with big people for sure. I'll tell you that. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. I hung out with the big guys, maybe because they were the close-knit group when I was there. Like, the DTs were super close, right? But our DTs and O-line, actually, they hung out a lot. And my roommate being Frank Ocam, I would just hang out with them. And then there was just there weren't silos. There were just different lines of connection, right? So if I'm hanging with the DTs, Frank is hanging with Rod is hanging with VY. I'm out, I see Selvin, I see, like, you have this connectedness. I see my DBs at different points because you live with certain people, but then you hang with other people. And so it still all comes together. But kind of going back to something Jet said that I think that stands out, it's especially in the summer. Let's say you finishing workouts or something, it's like 2 p.m. and everybody's kind of wrapping up at the facility. I'm just making up an arbitrary time. If guys aren't asking each other, "Hey, what are you up to today?" or don't already have something planned, just like, what are we doing? That's kind of where things get disconnected. It's when you just have a team full of guys who there's a few days straight of the week where everybody isn't doing something with somebody. Like, it's what are you up to? It doesn't matter if you're playing video games. You're going to go whatever. Like, we used to go bowling together. We used to eat dinner together. We used to just go sit at the house and do nothing together. Like that's when you really feel connected. It's when you're just like, I don't know what we're doing, but even if it's nothing, we'll do it together. So I think that's something that really stands out because there really wasn't really silos as much as it was like you had different guys in different classes that would connect regardless of position. So there's all these different ways that guys connect, guys from different cities that connect regardless of position. So you just automatically find that interconnectivity when it sometimes happens naturally and organically, but Sark has been intentional about it. Whereas I think we just lucked up a lot.
So that's what I was going to say, Jet. You had to do the Culture Wednesday stuff, right?
Yeah, I got to do Culture Wednesdays.
Yeah. So how was that a value? I know everybody's super masculine and tough, and so they're like whatever Culture Wednesdays, but did it have value there?
Yeah, for sure. I think you just get to hear a little bit of vulnerability from everybody and kind of what they've been through. So maybe somebody's been through the same thing. Maybe somebody's been through the same thing you've been. Maybe you're like, damn, I would have never guessed that guy had to deal with that or X or Y or Z. Or some people will get up there and like, yeah, dude, my parents own X and my life is pretty sweet. I live on the way.
It's going well.
And everybody's like, awesome, very cool. When are we going on the boat? You know what I mean? So and then there's a full range. You get everything because it's Austin. And
what about with the coaches? How do they connect? Of course, in your
they tell the story just like ours. Like we all get a topic, and it's just like this is maybe something we enjoy, maybe something we struggle, but it doesn't always have to be something like tough. It could be something funny or football related, or it could be maybe the whole team's going out to do charity or something like that. And yeah, something like that.
I do think it sounds funny because you wonder how certain guys get along on a team, but one guy can have a really deep story about how he's doing everything he's doing is for his mom or his grandma or something. Like you can get those stories, but then you get this guy that's just like, wait, you're doing all this just for fun?
Yeah. Like the walk-ons will get up there.
Dude, the walk-ons were like
I paid for this.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, wait, you're paying to come to school. You're choosing to do all this.
Yeah, it's like that's like a real I love that mainly because of I'm a walk-on enthusiast or whatever advocate.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for the walk-ons to get up there and actually they don't think about it. These guys just show up and do scout team and
literal love of the game.
And some of them blend for the majority blend well with the team. You know what I mean? Most people they're just like one of the boys. And so it's good you forget that they're a walk-on. And then also these guys are they're not ever as bad as you think. They're always way better. They're always way stronger, faster. They're doing the same workouts we do, and they put in just as much work. It's always very nice to have a very solid walk-on who you can just plug in on special teams or as a backup on special teams, can just take care of everything, kind of like an old savvy vet. So it's like having a savvy vet around. Marshall Landwehr's a great example. Yeah. Guys like him. And so yeah, they're great. They're just a part of the team, and some of them, maybe never get the scholarship, but love it just as much, and if not more, maybe a little bit.
How do you integrate the special teams guys? They always seem like they're
on. Oh, dude, nobody.
They like to just.
Special teams guys are they're not even. They're borderline not even football. They are obviously football,
but they're always funny, dude.
They're always doing their own thing 99% of the time. Did you listen to Dicker's viral when he's getting interviewed by USA men's soccer team? Give us a weekly routine. He was like, yeah. He was like, Monday, he's like, go kick some balls maybe for 30 minutes. Tuesday, I'll go do the same thing. He's like, I'll train legs for the next 2 days. And then he was like, I'll kick balls on Thursday, and then I take 2 days off till Sunday. And I was like, dude, that's the sickest thing of all time. I was like, this guy
players are like
the wrong sport. Doing this for 16 weeks.
But they have that surfer mentality too. I think it helps them because they have to walk in. They have to walk into these intense situations. You need that kind of.
You hit it on the head. Everything is water off the back to this guy because his main priority is USA men's soccer. His main priority is FIFA. You know what I mean? And so everything else is just water off the back to this kid. He always older me, but he's just he's immune. He's whatever. Next one, whatever. It's and for a kicker, that's not a real thing. So he's he's the perfect combo for it. But he has an absolute watching him kick up close is actually it's like an art, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the punter and the kicker, man. They have to have this different kind of mindset because they are isolated. They have to be completely self-starting themselves, and they have to be able to recover really, really quickly.
Ice in their veins.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, that's the key is just be a good person and do your work and then talk to your friends. You know, I think
That's pretty much it.
I think if you do that, I think it's like every other organization in existence, right? That's the way to have some success. How locked in is Sark as the figurehead? I mean, Sark has like 9 jobs, dude. You know, between his coordinating and stuff like that. How does Sark make sure that he's semi-available? He has so much to do, but how does the actual head coach? Same with Mac. How do they make themselves approachable?
Like we know there's a recruiting season. He steps away during the summer. He steps away during the winter.
Yeah.
So he's out doing that. So that's his balance in terms of recruiting. And then when he's on the team, I mean, he's got 2 hours for sure with the team, basically more or less 3. Let's just call it 3, 2.5 on average. 3 during the season, maybe 2 during the off, and then he's got a balanced schedule. You know, Monday, Tuesday, we're in the weight room, whatnot. He's got to work out. He's got a game plan. He's got to talk to recruits.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's got to take care of his personal life. He's got to eat some food every once in a while, you know. And then, you know, we all get tired after we eat some food. So maybe he's got to close his eyes for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So he's, you know, he's balancing all this stuff. And at least that's how I feel. And so he's balancing all this stuff. I mean, that's just part of the gig. You don't balance anything, dude. You're just all gas all the time. And like, I get the way I balance things is I just do everything at 100%. So
the balance is that everything's 100%.
Balance is do everything and you'll sleep when you die. Like, you know what I mean? That's the way I live, at least forever and ever.
How is Mac? He kind of to the media, you know, he plays that kind of grandfatherly role. What was that? What was it actually like on campus?
I think that's kind of where you have to. You have to be able to establish that type of connection. I mean, first of all, Mac knew everyone's name, mom's name, grandmother's name, sisters, brothers. Like, he truly connects with people. And so there's just a level of respect. And it was one of those situations where you didn't want Mac to call your mom. Like, you didn't want him to call family, because that was a whole other thing. So there was just a different dynamic and respect just amongst just having a team of players who had, you know, Mac had their respect. Your best players, you know, Mac had their respect. And so that kind of all trickles down into some of the accountability. And I mean, when I look at today, I see NIL. It's like, well, how does NIL impact it? I think NIL demands professionalism. So it's not so much a respect factor, or, hey, this is like a fatherly, grandfatherly type figure, and we all kind of, he's the guy. It's, you know, Sark didn't have to be that guy. Sark can, I mean, he has contracts now in place in NIL, and, you know, that demands a certain level of accountability and discipline and presence, because you're financially obligated to be there. So I do think NIL does make up for some cultural things in the same way that it does, you know, player salaries make up for cultural things in the NFL. It's just demands a certain level of professionalism and accountability that, you know, we were just all vibes, baby, back in the day. That's what it was.
For sure.
Yeah, it's got to be a little different when you're the coach and the player showing up late and, you know, you're paying them X amount. That's a different feeling for sure. And I think Anthony Hill said it first, or I can't remember, one of the recently left players. He was like, it's a lot easier to get up for those workouts, you know, because you know that there's money in the bank account because of it too. So I think that's kind of changed the factor. We're still a foot in each world there. It's like, oh, these little kids running around, but I think it is getting more professional, which I think is good for the product. All right, gentlemen, guess what? You guys want to do this ad read for me real quick? Flash sale. Yeah, I see both of you guys on the screen. Both of you guys nope. Flash sale. Join for $1, then 50% off your first year for new members only. Link is in that description. We're going to have a good culture this year, and we're going to turn it into some dubs. Later, y'all.